The President of the European Commission promised €1 billion in financial support to Ukraine alongside the extra weapons being given by member countries. In her first visit to the country since the outbreak of the war, Ursula von der Leyen said the brave soldiers of Ukraine have been fighting for everyone. She predicted that while Russia would be ruined by its war, Ukraine would emerge from the conflict wealthier and stronger. There was also a significant and symbolic gesture for the President of Ukraine.
The questionnaire that is in here is the basis for our discussion in the coming weeks. It is where your path towards Europe and the European Union begins. It will be not as usual a matter of years to form this opinion, but I think a matter of weeks if we work closely together. So for you, dear Volodymyr,
thank you so much.
I want to give you that.
Thank you so much.
This is the questionnaire.
Well, for more on that press conference between President Zelensky, the EU Commission Chief von der Leyen and Josep Borrell, our correspondent Sergio Ferreira de Almeida joins us now live from Kyiv. So Sergio, von der Leyen said Ukraine's cause is the world's cause. She also spoke of a long-term reconstruction fund for Ukraine. So what more can you tell us about that?
Ursula von der Leyen, when she presented that reconstruction fund, promised to Volodymyr Zelensky, the Ukrainian president, that all the member states will participate. She promised that all the member states are willing to help Ukraine to rebuild the country after the war. And she also said that this is one of the biggest challenges for Europe after the Second World War. And as Ukraine Ukraine is part of Europe and Ukraine belongs to Europe, as Ursula von der Leyen said, all the member states, all the Europeans are going to help Ukraine to rebuild and to step forward to the next phase after the war.
Now, Sergio, you also touched upon what I'm going to ask you about now. So Ukraine, of course, has long been talking and calling for EU membership. And we saw von der Leyen symbolically handing this envelope to President Zelensky that contains the path to potential EU membership. So what more can you tell us about that?
That was a really symbolic moment when Ursula von der Leyen gave the envelope with a questionnaire for Zelensky team to answer to apply to be a member of the European Union. She said, as we heard a few minutes ago, that usually it takes years to conclude this process, but she believes that it can be done in a couple of weeks, a couple of months, and she promised that her team will be available 7 days per week, 24 hours per day, to help the Ukrainian authorities to fill all the questionnaire. And Zelensky, it was also an important moment in that press conference, said that it's not going to take a long time. Next week, Ursula von der Leyen will have all the envelope, all the questions answered, and he wants to make Ukraine part of the European Union.
Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see. Sergio, thank you for updating us on the latest from Kyiv. Thank you so much.